Howdy, howdy! We are live on another Friday night with the first show in a series of covering Strange New World Season 3 every week. The season premieres next week, so right now we are going to list off the top things we want to see in Season 3, as well as talk about what we hope we don't see in Season 3. So I'm excited to start talking about a new season of new Star Trek for the first
Yes.
time in a long time, it feels like.
Especially Strange New Worlds, too.
Yeah, and especially for Taylor, this is the first time that she's been
The new
on the
Trek.
show covering a season of new Star Trek. So,
Yeah.
Without further ado, let's go ahead and get the show started. I'm Fatheree,
I'm Joel.
I'm Miss Taylor.
and this is Tex-Trek.
Engage.
Welcome back aboard the Starship Texas for the 338th installment of the Tex-Trek podcast, the home of Star Trek fandom from deep in the heart of Texas, where we take a deep look at Star Trek, old and new. And tonight, we are talking about Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3, premieres next week. And we're going to go over the top 4 things each of us hopes we see in Season 3, as well as the number 1 thing we hope we do not see this season. So we've all prepared our own lists. We don't know what each other has come up with.
No
There might be some overlap. We'll deal with that if it comes up. But we've done these a lot in the past on Tex-Trek. I think this is the first time I've ever done one with Joel or with Taylor.
Yep.
Unless I did one for Lower Decks. I can't remember. Not for live action, for sure. But
Yeah,
trying to
if you
think.
did, I don't recall either.
Strange New Worlds Season 2 was you, Dave, and Giraffe. I just checked.
That was 2
And
years
then-
ago.
Yeah,
So-
I know. Two years ago.
And a lot of those things that I asked for then, back then we did like a top 5 because we didn't do the one thing we hope we don't see. But I got out of those 5, I got one thing. There's 4 that I still want, but I did not include any of that on the list for this season. I came up with a brand new one. So, yeah, I'm really curious to hear what y'all came up with. So we'll get started on that in just one moment. Just a bit of quick housekeeping as per usual. I want to give a huge thank you and shout out to the wonderful, lovely people in the Tex-Trek Patreon who make our weekly live show possible and keep the Starship Texas flying. Thank you so very much. Starfleet Sohel, Cake is Eternal, Crazy Dutchie, Joanne Robertson, John Dot, Geek Filter, Quark Spart, Stephanie Durantes, Matthew Averett, Braxton, Chuck A, Joel Vallis, Benginium, Arthur Lamoureux, our associate producer Chris Garris, Dave Farabee, Dave A. Gregory, and our anonymous supporters. Just to remind everyone, we do monthly Patreon watch parties that all of our patrons are invited to attend. Our next one is coming up in about a week on Saturday, July 19th at 3:30 p.m. Central. We are going to gather with our patrons and watch the TNG 2-parter Best of Both Worlds, parts 1 and 2. I think it's going to be a fun time to revisit that on the aftermath of getting the conclusion to Strange New Worlds first cliffhanger. It's basically Strange New Worlds doing, like, we're going to do the TNG Best of Both Worlds thing. I know, like, a lot of Berman era seasons ended like that, but Best of Both Worlds started it, so it'll be fun to compare and contrast the original with the latest version of that. So that's open to all of our patrons. You can join the Patreon as little as $2 per month. And if you can afford to be more generous, there are some additional perks as well. like help on the bridge crew level or higher, and we'll throw additional watch parties for your birthday. So anyone who supports on the bridge crew level or higher, if you have an August birthday and would like to schedule a watch party in August, please let me know.
Post STLV.
Yeah, don't schedule it during the weekend of STLV. But a good reminder, Joel. Thank you for teeing up a
Okay,
segue.
I did that on purpose. Yes, I remember. Sure.
Just a little bit of Star Trek news, just to remind everyone, we are less than a month away from Star Trek Las Vegas. So that's going to be July, or I'm sorry, that's going to be August 5th, right?
I think till 11th or 10th.
To the 10th. So
Yeah, because we got the extra day.
Sorry.
Starts Tuesday night.
Right.
Con Eve is Tuesday night.
Yeah, the actual convention is the
Wednesday
6th
through
the
Sunday.
10th. Yeah.
There we go.
But we'll be there for the 5th because that's when we always go get second place.
Second place in trivia. Miss Taylor is going to be there, and she helped us get first place in San Francisco.
So maybe with Taylor we're like the first place team for Larry Nemechek's
it was Larry's still stuff.
landing party trivia. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I know Rachel will be there as well, and a lot of other friends from some other places on the interwebs are going to be there. So please, if you're at that con, I don't know, I don't want to speak for everyone else, but if you see me, if you're like, oh look, there's that doofus from Tex-Trek with the backwards cap and the beard, like please come talk to me. I love interacting with Trekkies in real life. I don't get to do it that often.
And it happened
online.
It did.
And some other news. They speaking of conventions, they recently announced the details for the Star Trek panels at San Diego Comic-Con, and that's going to happen on July 26th at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. But they're going to have the showrunners and casts of both Strange New Worlds and Starfleet Academy. There's going to be a 90-minute panel moderated by Robert Picardo. I'm sure their standard operating procedure with these is the first half will be about one show, the second half will be about the other show. But I think we're going to find out a lot about the Academy show. At least, I take that back. I don't want to say like we're going to find out a lot, but like compared to what we currently, like the Wikipedia page on that show is going to like increase tenfold after that panel. No, but I mean, we don't know much about it now. So I think all we know now is like actors' names. I think we're going to get like character names, maybe look at characters, and
we'll find out some species. I don't know if it'll be, the big names, but we'll find out some.
Yeah, we might get a teaser, might get a short clip. I don't think that show is going to come out until January or February. Basically, what I think they're going to do for the next couple of years is we're going to get new Starfleet Academy around January and new Strange New Worlds around July, and it'll just kind of be like Academy in the winter, Strange New Worlds in the summer, and it'll just be like that until 2027 at least. So we know that we have Trek mapped out for over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about that is with Strange New Worlds, with it just being these 10 episode seasons and then the 5th and final season being only 6 episodes, what occurred to me is that right now, before season 3 premieres, there are only 26 episodes of Strange New Worlds remaining, which like in the old days, that would just be one season of a Berman era show.
Yeah.
But, we're getting 2 episodes next week, and then the week after that, when we're on Strange New World Season 3, Episode 3, that episode is going to be the 23rd episode out of 46 total episodes. So,
halfway.
We'll be at the halfway point for the entire series. So,
yeah.
It's interesting to think about, but... They have said that they're currently halfway through production on season 4, and then it sounds like they're going to start production on season 5 before the end of the year. So they went straight from like 3 to 4 to 5 to finish things off. But also that might have something to do with the fact that Alex Kurtzman's contract with Paramount Plus it actually ends next year. So these final 3 seasons of Strange New Worlds and these 2 seasons of the Academy. Who knows if there will be more or not, but that's all he's contractually locked up to do. So that could be the end of the Kurtzman era, as I guess we'll refer to it historically going forward. And we had the Berman era, and this was 2017 to 2027 will be the Kurtzman era. But maybe they'll choose to continue Academy to give them other shows, or who knows what the hell is going to happen. But
yeah.
We have an idea now of what the next 2 years are going to look like, though. But I think that's it on news. Just to remind people that going forward for about the next 2.5 months, Tex-Trek is going to be Strange New Worlds focused. We'll probably do some type of stream for the San Diego Comic-Con stuff. But as far as like the podcast show goes, we're going to have weekly deep dive discussions that will stream live on Fridays. Dave is going to join Taylor and I next week to discuss the 2-episode premiere of season 3. And on Thursday nights, Rachel is going to be hosting the first reaction streams. That's also open to our patrons to attend, so another advantage of supporting on Patreon. But I love being able to include some other voices on Thursday nights as well. Those are always a lot of fun. I have fun listening to those. I always look forward to be like, I wonder if Chris will be on this week, or I wonder is Stan from the salon coming by? What is he going to say about this episode? And, I know Rachel's going to love that. I can't wait to hear her talk about it. So it's I have a lot of fun listening to those. So Rachel's here now commenting that she can't wait to get back to those. So Thursday we will have our first one in a long time.
Yeah.
So with all that out of the way, we are ready for our main subject of the evening. The top 4 things we want in season 3, and the one thing we don't. Joel, we'll just let you start things off. We're gonna do these, countdown order.
Yeah, start with our 4 and
we'll
count up
work
to
our
1.
way up to the big one. We'll also probably have time at the end of the show to mention any runner-ups we might have had, and just the.
I have some little ones, that aren't worth much, but
the typical rule that we use when we do these is that if there is overlap, if say Joel's number 3 is the same thing as Taylor's number 1, then when Joel brings that up, Taylor has the option to be like, "Oh, that's actually on my list too. I'll go ahead and talk about it now," or she can be, "I'll just wait till it comes to me on number 1 and share it then." But it'll make sense after we get going if that's too much.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, well, I know Joel.
It's all strategy to score the most points. Oh wait, we're not doing that. Never mind.
Joel knows more about Tex-Trek than probably anyone else other than me, because he's.
I watched them all.
He's
I don't remember every single thing, but
viewer when he views.
Yeah, if you watch them all, you end up on screen. It's just this magical thing that happens.
It's like an unlockable in a video game.
Yep.
It's like if
I 100%ed it, and I sent a code, and then the mysterious stranger was like, "You've unlocked." Yeah, just like.
It was like a portal from the last outpost showed up and and invited you on.
Oh, that kind of portal. See, I was thinking it was the Heronium one, but okay, we got it. But...
No, or the Iconian one.
Oh.
But since you are here, Joel, tell us the number 4 top thing you hope that we see in Strange New Worlds season 3.
Well, I rewatched all of Strange New Worlds this week on Blu-ray. So, and the thing that was struck by the difference between season 1 and 2, well, there's a lot of differences, but the one thing I'm talking about number 4 is we had 2 submarine episodes in season 1. We had Memento Mori, with a Gorn one, and that was, submarine. They thought of a weird way of doing sonar and doing all this stuff. And then also, of course, we had Quality of Mercy, which basically echoes the original series' big submarine one, Balance of Terror. And we had 0 submarine episodes in the second season. We had the Gorn, but there was no submarine stuff at all in the last one. So I think it would be great to have another Starship submarine one, because it's Strange New Worlds, and they're going heavy TOS, and the best Starship stuff in TOS was the things that are like submarines, which, they were echoing the World War II movies, and for good reason. There's some really good ones. I haven't watched all those ones that Balance of Terror is based on. I got to get on that. But I just love those tense submarine things. So what could they do in this one? I don't know. They could have a ship with a Scottish captain for some reason, and everyone else is a different nationality and for no reason, and that's a submarine movie. We could do that. And
that was a nice Hunt for Red October reference. Another part of the Paramount family. And the only reason why I interrupt you to point this out is
that's fine.
In Star Trek Enterprise, In a Mirror Darkly, when we got those mirror universe opening credits for Star Trek Enterprise, they used the shot of the sub shooting a torpedo from that movie. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, a way to
and of course
keep it Trek adjacent.
Shakari is named after the actor who played that.
Yeah.
What, Lithuanian or something?
I guess
Soviet sub commander.
Shatner
Mr. Sean
wanted as Cybok.
Yes. Though I think Luck and Bill did. I mean, it would have been amazing to have Sean Connery, but I don't know.
We would have been robbed.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, because Luck and Bill, man, he killed that. He killed that part.
You bring up a good point, Joel, that the season 1 did the sub episode thing twice, and Memento Mori is one of my favorite episodes of Strange New Worlds. Like,
it's really good.
Taylor, what do you think about that? Do you think that's
do you even like Star Trek sub episodes? Yeah, I don't.
Well, the way that it took me like a solid 2 minutes to like realize you weren't talking about a literal submarine is kind of embarrassing. I was like, where were there?
Well, they're under the sky. Wait, no, they're not. But
you're talking about like a chase, like an enemy. I'm not 100% familiar with that trope, to be honest.
I'm not sure if you watched a lot of submarine movies, but
no, I haven't
it's
seen
because like Memento Mori, they're all their sensors are down, and they rig up that they can monitor some particles, and they sort of have sonar.
Like,
and that's it.
Or like in the Wrath of Khan, when the Enterprise and the Reliant can't see each other, the Mutara Nebula, like that's all very like there were a lot of submarine movies in like the 50s. Like, it's kind of like a new form of naval warfare from World War II. So it kind of created like a subgenre of movies, and Balance of Terror adapted that into Star Trek, and then it's a lot of shows and movies since have also used that. So
if you've ever seen like the classics like Hunt for Red October, there's a lot of other ones too, or the German one Das Boot, which is amazing. It's its own little mini subgenre, and because they're trapped in a boat that's why Balance of Terror, they're all being quiet in space. That really wouldn't matter, but it does matter on a submarine because they're listening for each other, and you can actually hear if you drop tools, you can actually hear that. And there's a whole thing in Hunt for October where they're like singing, and like one of the guys is like, I swear I heard singing, but I don't know how much that is in a big missile boat. But it is an easy way for tension, and it goes in with subs really well, or space. Subs going to space, subs. There you go.
A sub-genre as
or a subspace genre
in the comments.
That's what they call it, subspace, right?
But yeah, I could get on board another sub episode. It's like, you didn't do any in season 2, so it has been.
And I can't think of any space battles that were particularly great without it in Strange New Worlds. I mean, there were shots and some stuff. There was some interesting flying through debris and stuff, but I thought the best things they did were the tense, the cat and mouse submarine stuff.
Well,
which is probably Taylor's number 4 too. So
Taylor, why don't you inform us what was the number 4?
She wants submarine sandwiches in Trek because we only got hot dogs in season 1.
Well, I would like to see a return of Mbenga's daughter, Rukia.
That's a good one.
I liked the episode where she has gone off with the non-corporeal being, and she has like a moment where she returns back as an adult. And she says, like, I have no doubt we'll see each other again. And so I kind of felt like that is an opening to bring her back. But I also, like, at the bare minimum, if she doesn't come back, I will accept, like, a story about her from Mbenga or him mentioning her. Because in season 2, like, she kind of passed on in her own way. And, like, we don't really hear him talk about her much after that. And so I would like to see more mentions of her again. Like, she doesn't disappear.
Really close after that, there was a couple things, like when he accidentally calls that
That
woman.
kid, yeah.
His
Oriana,
daughter.
I
in
think.
season
Yeah,
one.
he
Yeah.
calls
Yeah.
Oriana my daughter, and then he's like, "Oh, I mean my
But that was
patient."
right after. That was
Yeah.
right next to the episode. So,
Right,
Yeah, that
right.
was
It was so
literally the
close to
next
it.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was
good,
that still in
but-
season 1, I think.
That was in season
Yeah,
1.
it was, yeah.
So,
that
like, in
was
season
All Those Who
2
Wonder.
Yeah, I think
Wander.
in season 2 there was maybe like one mention of her, and it was very vague. So I would like to hear more about her, like just keeping her memory alive by Mbenga,
Yeah.
or maybe like have her return and like save the day or
You
something
can send
like
a
that.
message or a package or something, and like
Yeah.
when they need something, like something shows up, she hires some Orions to bring it over or something. She could be the Deus Ex Machina, and here's your makeup.
There's no good reason not to work in like a mention of
Yeah.
her. You know, like losing your kid should be like a huge part of your daily experience. You would think that would be on his mind a lot. So, and I think it would be cool if they found a way to work in like an appearance of her. But I don't know. It's weird. Like, would they have to go back to that nebula or what? But maybe.
Right.
Aaron in the chat is saying she could just show up with Wesley. That's true.
I don't know, I'd have to go back and watch the episode, but I think like they're real adamant that like she can't leave that nebula. Like she'll always be there.
Her
I mean,
real self.
You can do whatever. Like
Where?
you can be
How
like,
long can she? How far can she project something though,
Yeah,
with a
like-
traveler?
Yeah, there's sci-fi ways to do just about.
Yeah, I don't think she
anything.
can really leave forever, but
Yeah, they might be clever enough to think up a cool way to include her. But yeah, I agree, Taylor. If you're not going to do that, at
Yeah.
least mention her.
season 2 did have the backstory of Mbenga doing the transporter, keeping people in the buffer when they were on the at war with Chapel. So they did sort of put some of the history of how she got into the buffer into season 2, and I like that, but without really mentioning her directly.
Right.
Well, I liked that pick, Taylor. For my number 4, out of the things I most want to see in Strange New World season 3, this is kind of a silly one. I'll work my way up to some more serious.
I don't have
stuff,
any silly ones. Jeez.
Well, we know we're getting more of Martin Quinn as Scotty in season 3. We just saw him in that last episode of season 2, Hegemony. So, looking forward to getting to know this Scotty. It's still weird to me that he's so young and baby faced, and like, what the hell is gonna happen to this poor dude to age him so much? But, yeah, a lot of hard whiskey drinking, I guess. That being said, though, I want Scotty to say Borgus Frot, the weird Scottish curse word that James Doohan came up with because he thought it sounded Scottish, I guess. I don't think anyone in Scotland, at least in the 20th or 21st century, says that, but in 23rd century, that is some Scottish slang. He says that twice. It's in I Mud, and it's in Star Trek 5. When he's in Star Trek 5, it's that scene when he's working on the Enterprise. It's that log entry near the beginning of the episode where he's reacting to Kirk at the end of Star Trek 4, where they get the Enterprise A for the first time, and Kirk says, "Let's see what she's got," and they go to warp, and then we get the end credits. Then in Star Trek 5, Scotty is like, "Borgus Frot, let's see what she's got," said the captain, and then we found out, didn't we? And basically, like, the ship just, I guess, started falling apart, had malfunctions all over the place, and Scotty's been busting his ass trying to repair everything while everyone else is, rock climbing or getting lost in the park or whatever. He used that cool deep cut slang from the original series episode I Mud when he calls Harry Mudd a Borgus Frot to his face when he sees that Mudd is the one
he deserved it,
keeping them prisoner on the android planet. So. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, that would be something that Scotty says occasionally. Fun little connection to TOS and to the TOS movies. And I think this guy Martin Quinn, he seems real likable. He seems like he will have kind of that comedic energy similar to Simon Pegg's Scotty in the Kelvin verse. So I think it would work for him. That can be his catchphrase. Pike has hit it. Give Scotty Borgus Frot. And I knew no one else is going to come up with that. No one else in the world is going to be like, that's on
That's
my
true.
list of top things I want to see. So
My number one is going to be unique. There's no way you're doing it.
well, I'm very eager to work our way up to that. But I guess let's keep the show on the road. Joel, tell us the number 3 thing you hope to see in Strange New World season 3.
Well, obviously, the best episode of Strange New World so far is Those Old Scientists. I just rewatched the whole season, and Those Old Scientists I've also rewatched on its own, I don't know, like 8 times or something. It's amazing. And what do we have this season? We have the episode names. We don't know. I mean, we know what the first one's a Gorn one, but other than that, we don't exactly know. We have guesses for some of the, because there's a Turlane looking guy. I don't know which episode it is, but we have that sort of things from the trailers. But we have one episode. It's episode 6 is the Salot who ate its tail. Clearly, we know Salots are from yesteryear in the animated series. So, can we have? Were they just too chicken to call it Those Amazing Scientists? I think they were. I think this could be our TAS crossover episode. Which, I mean, you could pick anything. I don't know exactly what they're going to do. It's something to do with Spock. It's Strange New Worlds. They're all going to have something to do with Spock now, aren't they? And Salot hasn't died because they haven't got to yesteryear yet, because that's post TOS in TS. But we can do this. We can have this, and maybe they'll introduce Eric's to come. We already have an Adosian who's not Eric's because he's a bartender. Unless, I don't think that's Eric's, but maybe it's his cousin.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We could have MRS. We can introduce some other live action TAS people. Or, I don't think they're going to have M3 Green. But if they did, it would be awesome. But
we're just seeing that species in live action. Because those little lizard dudes showed up in Lower Decks. So.
Just some CG to make that. But you could do, they're good at makeup too. Just the extra arms they could do or something. I don't know. They're good at that stuff. They could figure it out. So, yes, that would be totally amazing. And yes, it would follow up so far their greatest episodes so far. And I couldn't find out who wrote. I looked today to see, do they have the writers for these episodes? I think the early ones they might, but obviously the first one they do. But they have not released that. So, but if ideally Mike McMahon would help. He's probably busy, but
you're saying, Joel, it would be like a crossover with the animated series, or like that episode specifically yesteryear.
It could be any. I would say not specifically that episode because I don't think they should touch that. But the animated series, they'll just talk about Salots a lot.
Or because Strange New Worlds is the show that likes to really change things up every week and lean hard into a different genre every week. Do you think they would do a TAS style animated show or?
Well, I don't think they're going to do the animated because they don't have a dedicated, animated show to do the stuff like they did with Lower Decks. But they could just have live action, and then it would be different from Those Old Scientists because it would just be, they could show some clips from TS or something. But just bring in some animated series stuff in hardcore form, and I think that would be amazing, and it would be a follow-up to Those Old Scientists. And, what do you guys think? It's very likely. No, it's not very likely. But it would be awesome.
Akiva Goldsman has talked a lot about the animated series.
They mention it a lot. There's references.
And it looks like they are pulling an Adosian in from the animated series. And I think because Lower Decks was so kind to TAS and really brought back a lot of TAS Easter eggs, I think that kind of sparked kind of renewed awareness and interest in it. So I would love another show kind of be oh yeah, Lower Decks had a lot of fun with this TAS stuff. We should play with those toys too. But yeah, give us some Cations, give us some Kazenti.
Well, I didn't even go there because that would be too amazing, and I never get exactly what I want.
But I think they'd be a great foe. I know there's some legal concerns about that. It would make some.
Actually, I don't think there is. Department. I was listening to the Larry Nemechek's Trek Files, and apparently to get the Slaver weapon on, he sold all the rights to Paramount.
Larry Niven did?
Yes, in order to get that episode of the animated series on, So I think they already have all the rights. He didn't retain any of them for that. Because there wasn't really anyone who's going to make, there was no, the early 70s, no one was making Kazuki movies or anything. I don't think it ever came up. So it was a very specific part of I don't remember which episode, because there's a lot of Trek Files episodes, but it sounded like he did give all the rights up to that, but I might be wrong. But you need like 8 lawyers and like, a librarian to figure all that out. I know that costs money, but even if you do own it.
Well, I would love to see any connection to the animated series in Strange New Worlds, though. So I would be on board for AD. I don't know if the Sailot necessarily means like a reference to yesteryear or something, but I would love to. I just want to like see a Sailot on the show. We get like that blurry view in Enterprise with like the 2004 CGI. I think we could do a cooler Sailot these days. Taylor, what about you? What would be your number 3 thing you want to see in the upcoming season of Strange New Worlds?
Cool. This one is super not serious, but kind of, and it's very low stakes. But I'm hoping for more TOS colored lighting on the sets. I feel like the Strange New World sets are very beautiful, but they're still very like almost sterile sometimes. Like they have that very white hallway and very like crisp, clean lines looks. So I would really love if in Strange New Worlds, as they go season to season to season, that they're getting more and more colorful, leaning into like the TOS coloring, like the pinks and the purples and the greens and stuff.
That's something that we talk about a lot, though, like when we're watching TOS and we're like, I wish they would light more modern Star Trek this colorful.
I have to say, this is very similar to my number 2, but it's not exactly it.
My runner-up was very similar to your last one, but it's a little different, so I didn't want to slide in on that.
Well, it's not exactly, but it's in the area, right?
Yeah, Taylor, I would say it's adjacent.
Taylor, did I ever show you those promotional key art pictures they put out for season 2, where they actually did take all these pictures of the actors in character on the Strange New World sets, and they had like a lot of like colorful lighting. They'd have like purple lights projected on the walls and stuff like that. Yeah. So like, it would be cool. Oh, especially like as we're supposed to be getting closer to TOS in the timeline, and
they could creep that in.
Yeah, since they clearly want the tech to look advanced to a modern audience, and they don't want to recreate exactly what was in the original series, they could there's cheater ways to still get closer to it by like giving us the colorful lighting. So
right. And I feel like
down for that.
If they're slowly adding it in, like even if it's just like one room at a time every once in a while, like not every single shot has to be like that, but like just like slowly add it in and creep it in until like the end of season 5, and then we're like full-blown color, that would be cool to me.
And we know that speaking of sets, though, they added the new set this season. They have
some kind of lab,
a science lab for Spock. In season 2, they added the port galley, their kind of bar area on the ship,
because that lunchroom is too expensive.
Mess hall, So I'm curious in season 4 or 5 if we'll get more additional sets those seasons. So far, the first 3 seasons, we get a new ship set every year. For my number 3 top thing I want to see this season in Strange New Worlds, I think this is going to be an unpopular one because I get it. It's played out. Trek has done it a lot, especially lately. But I want Mirror Universe in season 3. And I'll tell you why. I think there's a really great opportunity for a story. Like I know that the Mirror Universe has been done to death, but
no Emperor Giorgio here, but yeah.
Remember how Star Trek Enterprise did the episodes I was just mentioning earlier?
Yeah.
In a Mirror Darkly, entirely set in the Mirror Universe. I think that would be a fun thing to do in an episode of Strange New Worlds. Give us an entire Mirror Universe episode of Pike's Enterprise, because in Mirror Mirror, they talk about how Mirror Universe Kirk took over command of the Enterprise. He assassinated Captain Pike and took control of the ship. So we could actually play out that story with Paul Wesley playing Mirror Universe Kirk and Anson Mount playing Mirror Universe Pike. And I think that would be fun to see. And we, even though we know how it would end, we wouldn't know, well, which side is, Mirror Universe Lon gonna be on?
Yeah.
What if Hemmer is still alive in the Mirror Universe? We get to see Mirror Universe Hemmer. Thing. So yeah, like you could do like a lot of fun stuff with that. You could even do like a flashback to like Emperor Hoshi, running the show. Like you could even like flashback to that, and she, like Linda Park, she looks a little older than she did in Enterprise. That would make sense. That's just set it like a couple decades after those events when she took over the Terran Empire. Maybe explain how we got from there to where the Mirror Universe is, and Discovery and TOS. So.
Are you saying it will show us how we got from there to here?
Yeah, the long road from there to here. So I would really like to see that. I would love to see Mirror Universe Pike and Mirror Universe
Spock
Kirk.
can be there too. We can get Ethan Peck in the goatee, and that's 800 action figures you can sell. Paramount,
Wow.
Paramount, bearded Spock sells.
But yeah, I would. I think that if not in season 3, then maybe season 4 or 5 at some point. Let's see that Mirror Universe Kirk overthrow Mirror Universe Pike. And the fact that it would be like a self-contained episode too. So if you are like one of the people who's like, no, like I'm so done with the Mirror Universe, it'd be like, chill out. It's just like 1 week, and then we'll.
Yeah, and they just have to redress the sets they have. They don't need to spend money on extra other than the goatees, and they just take their uniforms and show everyone's navel if you're a woman, and heck, show Peck's navel. Go full. He just wears a sash or wears nipples, and that's it.
I think the Strange New Worlds team would actually come up with some cool creative ways to kind of modernize.
Their costumes are they're doing good.
So I'm curious what they would come up, because I don't think they would do like the armor like that they did in Discovery. I think but I don't necessarily think they would do like the skimpy outfits they did in TOS. But I think there's like a third option they would come up with. It'd be pretty cool. So, but yeah, I'd be on board for some MU in season 3. But that brings us back to you, Joel. So we're getting close to number 1. But why don't you tell us the number 2 thing you hope we see in season 3 of Strange New Worlds?
Okay, like Ms. Taylor's third, it has to do with TOS lighting. Though she was more talking about the colored lighting, right? I was talking more here about the pin lighting. Like Balance of Terror, when they just have the light over the eyes and like this kind of weird, which they did do in Quality of Mercy when they were doing Balance of Terror. They did do that in that episode. But where did that come from? That mostly came from the noir movies starting in like the 30s and 40s. And we have a mystery we know there's a mystery.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully part of that mystery has those few noir moments. I don't think the whole thing will be themed that way, but
it's supposed to be like an old-fashioned, kind of like.
So you can do it in color. It doesn't have to be like because those movies just happen to be in black and white. But and obviously TOS, you could see it in the black and white TVs, but it was color too. So if we had some great noir shots in our mystery of just lighting, and the whole, the detective there, the light from the blinds, because cinematographers love blinds, because you could just, get those little light stuff really easy, and they put it in everything, and it's just amazing. That would be really easy in an episode I know they're doing, which is mystery, and it doesn't have to be noir if it's a mystery, but noirs tend to be mysteries. So we could do that, and it would it's not the colored lighting. You could have that too, though. You could do that too. But yeah, my number 2 is bring back the noir-like lighting that was in Balance of Terror. Especially, you could easily slot it into our mystery. And that would be some fun. What do you guys think?
I'm into it. I like it.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think putting it in like that murder mystery or mystery episode is a genius idea.
So it wouldn't really work, but
Yeah, I think that'd be like a good opportunity for them to go like, oh yeah, let's really lean into the old fashioned stuff
Yeah.
and go hard with the big melodramatic things that we
They
wouldn't do
already
today.
have
But
Fedora in it, so there you go.
Yeah.
I would
Well,
also love if they did something in black and white. Like I think it'd be cool
yeah.
Yeah.
if their Norse story had been in black and white, or maybe something else will be. But that's like a fun
Like
thing to
Voyager
ask
did for it wasn't
for
noir, but
Chaotica, yeah, Bride
yep.
of Chaotica. But yeah, for like Strange New Worlds, like a fun thing to ask is like, what weird genre have they not done? They've done like gritty war story, they've done musical, they've done
Body swap.
submarine,
They've done
yeah,
specific movies too. I was going through the
yeah.
letterbox top 250 movies trying to figure out what movie they should do too, and I couldn't really
Mm.
figure it out because they did the first Gorn one was Aliens. Our season cliffhanger was basically Alien. They just copied a scene from Alien 3 with Patel. The Gorn comes up to her, sniffs her, and says, "You're
Yeah.
preggers. I'm going to leave." That was basically Alien 3.
Yeah.
So I guess they're adding a Predator
I,
next, and then
Taylor and I have talked about that a lot because when we watched Strange New
Mugatu
Worlds,
versus Gorn. That'll be the next one. But
she hadn't seen any Alien movie when I showed her all of Strange New Worlds, and then since then we've watched every single Alien movie, and now she's like, oh yeah, they were totally ripping off those.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like because they definitely at the time when I was watching Strange New Worlds pre-Alien Education, I was like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. This is fine. And now I'm watching it and I'm like, this is really not creative at all, guys. Like, I don't know, just
it's just these are a few of our favorite things. Yeah, they kind of are doing that.
The beauty of the show, like Strange New Worlds, is like I really don't like their Gorn episodes, but I like damn near everything else they've done. So that's part of the what's so.
And if they weren't called Gorn and tied into that, you would have been like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
There's still some things I would have had issues with, but
HR Giger's Gorn, it's kind of weird.
But yeah, that's bad. But
this kind of leads into my second. I feel like I should just start.
Well, what a great segue.
Yeah, it's a good segue. But my second was fixing the Gorn look. Basically, I need the bedazzled eyes back. I'm so mad.
Fedoras. Yeah, fedoras.
Yes. When we saw Arena, like we just covered Arena, and
yeah, it's so good.
I'm obsessed with the Gorn look. Like I love the biped. I love the big bedazzled eyes and the hissing. I miss that so much. Like I don't know. It was such a fun week to like imitate the Gorn. And then since we've rewatched Strange New Worlds this past week, it's been like disappointing. It's not as unique. Obviously, we're talking about like it rips straight off of Aliens. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that somehow maybe like the Gorn that we have seen or like, I don't know, Gorn adjacent, and there's like multiple species of Gorn. But I want them to fix this because I have a problem with it because I really want the bedazzled eyes. Like I just really want.
I have a fix. These Gorn can be they could be Gorn like they could be the aliens created by the Gorn, the bedazzled Gorn from Arena. They could be weaponized creatures that they invented for warfare. And they're not the actual main species.
Like genetically engineered
probably
Gorn.
not, but just like the thing about the Klingons were probably genetically created because why would anything have that many backups? Why should you have extra hearts and stuff like that? But that's not on screen anyway. It's just one of those like the fan theories. It kind of makes sense, and so you could say that with the Gorn too. We haven't seen anything yet, and we next week we'll find out. But
they do like the genetic engineering stuff in the show.
Yeah, it would tie in with the overall stuff with
Lon's an augment, Una's an Illyrian. And so, yeah, maybe the Gorn are also getting in on the genetic
augmentation.
engineering.
I like that a lot because it also kind of is a good trope of like having minions and stuff, like do your dirty work and like...
maybe they got out of hand too.
Yeah, so I'm into that. Yeah, but I would love to see my main thing was I really just want to see a Strange New Worlds Gorn with the rhinestone eyeballs. So I'll leave it there.
I would love that too, but that was
rhinestone cowboy Gorn. That's right.
Yeah.
That was one of my things I wanted for season 2. Was the two things I didn't like about this show after season 1 was I didn't like the Gorn and I didn't like Paul Wesley as Kirk. And so two of the things I asked for in season 2, as I said, like I want to see something with Paul Wesley Kirk that I actually like. And I got that. I love Paul Wesley as Kirk now. I'm excited to see more of him in season 3. I know some people like they get mad. They're like, they post like that meme of like the
what are you doing on my ship?
Cover, like, what are you doing on my ship? It's like he's shown up twice. Like that's fine. Get over it. And I really like Paul Wesley as Kirk, but I also wanted to like the Gorn, and then we had the one Gorn focused episode of season 2, and I just to be fair, it's a 2-parter. I've only seen the first half of the story, so I've had to, I guess, reserve judgment for 2 years. But I don't like that episode. I'm not looking forward to a season 3 episode 1, and I'm not even a little mad about that because I'm very excited for season 3 episode 2. So, but maybe eventually they'll do something with the Gorn that I do like. But I don't want to say fixing the look, but giving me the look that I would prefer would definitely be a huge improvement. But yeah, I strong agree with you, Miss Taylor, on that number 2 pick.
What's your number 2 pick?
For me, the number 2 top thing I want to see in season 3 of Strange New Worlds. I want more Kirk and La'an romance. I need to see the two of them together again. I forgot how much Taylor doesn't like that, but I forgot how much I ate up that romance between the Tomorrow is my favorite episode of Strange New Worlds.
Y'all are killing me.
It's the episode that made me fall in love with Paul Wesley's performance as Kirk. It's the episode that made me realize how near and dear to my heart La'an is. How like I get so sad when I see her. So when I see like Christina Chong's sad face on like when she breaks down and cries at the end of that episode, it makes me want to break down and cry. And
she gets a dress in all black leather too. I mean, oh my god, they're trying to get me. Jeez.
But it has like such like a sad thing too, because we know like in TOS, like we know that Lon's not there, so
but we also know it doesn't work out with Carol. We know that. So.
Right. Yeah. So like the fact that
give birth, then it's bye.
In the musical, in Subspace Rhapsody, like he tells her like listen, we can't do anything because I'm
little David's on the way. Yeah.
I'm in an on again off again relationship, which is on right now because Carol is pregnant, but. Maybe by the time we get into season 3, Kirk is going to be like, yeah, Carol actually told me to never talk to her or her kid again, and now I guess I am available. But that would be weird. But how would La'an react to that? Or, is La'an going to move on and, I don't know, maybe have a different romance with someone else, but then Kirk shows up and just... what his reaction to that would be, I don't know, but I need to see the two of them. If nothing else, like I want closure for her at some point.
Yeah.
She went to this other universe. I was like, the first time in her life that she felt someone wasn't scared of her baggage, wasn't scared that her last name is Noonien Singh. Like that was the first time that like someone, she said that like she felt like someone like saw her as good of a person that she now realizes that she is, or that she's capable of being. And I thought like, oh, that's such like a wonderful realization, but also so tragically sad. And I just want like that poor girl to have closure to all that.
Can I make an interjection?
Yeah,
you may.
Tell me why I'm wrong, Taylor.
Okay.
I don't ask permission. I just go for it.
I'm a little bit waiting for the number 1 do not want to really go deep into this. But why can't we have La'an find her book? Why does it have to be Kirk? Like, I don't want it to be Kirk. Like, I want La'an to find her own, like how Michael and Book were together. And they were brand new characters in the same show together. And were written for each other and had great chemistry. And I don't like the idea of having these Strange New Worlds characters like integrating with like the TOS characters. sounds so weird, like that, where we know, like, okay, Kirk doesn't. We know
You want
that
them
Kirk's
segregated.
I
You are
want
like
them all, not.
legacy characters can only date legacy characters, and new characters can only date new characters.
I don't know, I guess, but like that, like, really is a pet peeve of mine, because I'm just like, man, I don't want to see this. Like, I want to see La'an with someone that she, like, that is a better match for her. Like, I feel like Kirk is okay, but I don't really think Kirk is that great of like a romantic partner. And if we're talking about having like a really great romantic partner for La'an, like, she deserves better, as Commodore Trev has said in our live chat. So that's all I feel. I feel like we could have a better romance for her. Like, I don't feel like I don't think it's bad. Like, I don't think, like, I watch it and I get it. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just not into it. Okay, that's my soapbox.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, we know if she has a relationship with Kirk, it's not going to last forever. But I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe they get together and she dies. I don't know. Like,
no, I don't want that either. But
they save it. They save it till season 5.
Oh my God. Steven's like, oh, I want them to be together, and it doesn't matter to me if they're together and she dies, as long as they're together.
All I'm saying is, like, they're like, even though we know she's not going to be around in TOS, there's so many things that we don't know. For me, it would still be worthwhile to watch that journey and find out. But Joanne in the live audience says that she digs the soap opera too. So I love the trashy soap opera drama that Strange New World serves me.
I mean, because we're enjoying the Spock Chapelness of it all. We know that
I'm not.
Okay. Some people, other people are.
I just read,
and I get that some people aren't going to like that. I got that from the get go. I do, but maybe Jess Bush is just so great.
I love her.
If it was another actress, I don't know how great it would be, but Jess Bush is just knocked it out of the park.
And Ethan Peck is consistently phenomenal.
Well, no, yeah, he is living up to that very hard thing of Spock. But
I mean, I don't think there's any, like, right or wrong with this. Like, some people dig the romance like me. Some people hate it with a passion like Taylor. But I feel like neither one of us is right or wrong. It's just like
preferences. I mean, I'm gonna be fine with whatever they write. I know that sounds bad, but I'm definitely a fan who's like, okay, they've written this and they did this and it's canon, and I'm like, all right.
Man, I want, like, this last season, like that only 6-episode season, I want that to be kind of like jump around the timeline, like have every episode be set in like a different year or something, and do like one episode that's set like after Star Trek 6, and we see like old retired Chapel finally able to settle down with Spock. I would love that. But
Dr. Chapel then,
yeah. It'd be post her Star Trek 4 appearance, I guess. But so that was my number 2, right?
In the comments, Trev is saying that La'an could go off with number 1 and get married, or Ortegas, because we don't know what happens to Ortegas or number 1 or La'an, or then they're maybe they're a throuple and they all go off and fly to ships and stuff. I don't know what they do.
Well, if the show doesn't give that to us, I'm sure some fan fiction somewhere will.
I probably already exists.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So if you want that story, I'm sure it's out there somewhere. What I want, though, is before we go into our big number 1 top thing that we want to see.
We don't. Yeah.
Before we do that, Joel, why don't you start off this round and tell us the number 1 thing you hope we don't see in season 3?
Okay, we all know that they're just sort of like trying to collide with TOS hard, but I don't want them. The thing I don't want in season 3 is don't bring McCoy in yet.
Yeah,
save that for season 4 or 5. Don't do it in season 3. It's too early. We already just got Scotty and have hardly any interaction with them. I mean, I guess if they bring McCoy in episode 10 at the very end, that would be a little okay. But don't bring him in the first 9 episodes. No McCoy. It's too much. Just you got to spread. You know how many episodes you have left, so you no longer have to because at the beginning they didn't really know how much they'd get, right? So I understand shoehorning stuff in there, and having Uhura was great, and I think Scotty's going to be great. Quinn seems like he's great.
Yeah,
but
actual first time Scotty is played by a Scottish actor.
We slowly got closer and closer. We went to California, Then we went England, and now we're fully up there to Scotland, above the Hadrian's Wall, and there we're
James
there.
Doohan is a Canadian.
Oh yeah, but he
he-
was in LA at the time, but he
he's,
is Canadian, of course.
He's
I
Irish
knew that.
Canadian, so he's like almost Scottish.
Yeah.
But Taylor, you said you agree to hold off on Dr. McCoy.
Yeah, I love Mbenga so much. I don't want to lose him. I feel like if we get
he is
McCoy,
great.
we would have to
I don't
lose
think
Mbenga.
I don't think I think they do a Kirk thing and not have him join the ship right away. I hope.
Okay.
So
because that would be too much. But
here's how
either
I
way,
think.
not season 3. Don't bring McCoy in yet.
But I've said this for a long time. The way to like have your cake and eat it too with McCoy is just make him be the CMO on the Farragut, and that's he's Kirk's friend. He's on Kirk's ship, and like another character I've really been screaming about getting in Strange New Worlds is Gary Mitchell, who's supposed to be super tight friends with Kirk during these years. I think Gary Mitchell should also be on the Farragut. And like I think like those should be like his bros. Like we go to the Farragut. We know that we're going to see Kirk in command of the Farragut at some point this season. And we should go over there and have McCoy and Gary Mitchell, maybe even Sulu too. Maybe Sulu is there, and then like before they start hanging out on the Enterprise, they can like hang out together on the Farragut and show up 1 or 2 times a season.
And Chekhov's junior high class is touring the Farragut for school, so no, don't do that.
But again, like Aaron's like, if he's Kirk's friend, that means he's going to live on the Enterprise. Like I don't get that criticism. Like it's like he's been on the Enterprise twice. I don't know. It's but I guess
there's a lot of alternate universe
if people,
Kirks,
if you're not into it, because I can see it that way. Like I really didn't like
if
him
it bugs
in
you,
the Quality of Mercy. So, but now that I like him, I'm like, oh yeah, like I want him to keep showing up. But
or as Jill in the live audience points out, she wants Jeffrey Combs to come in as Dr. Boyce. And that would work really well too.
Yeah, I don't
that they could do now and it would be fine.
I don't have to have it be Boyce, but I think Dr. Piper would, I guess, like timeline wise, that would make the most. Like that was the doctor in Where No Man Has Gone before, right? So
I believe so.
Before, like in between Boyce and McCoy, there was Piper.
Yep.
Instead, we have Mbenga, who's like, I agree with Taylor. Like I love him though. Like, I don't want him.
Oh yeah,
we still got to get the story at some point why he's not the chief medical officer in TOS, but they do like to add a TOS character in like the season finales. It seems like we got Kirk in the season 1 finale, got McCoy in the season 2 finale. I think if we get anyone in, I'm sorry, Scotty in the season 2 finale. I think if we do get anyone in season 3, I think it's most likely going to be Sulu. But
and Sulu would be okay because he's not part of the the original big 3. So introducing him earlier, like Scotty, wasn't quite as. But just like introducing the third of the original big 3.
Yeah,
it's too early.
I think that
It'll
would have
take
to be
over.
like a season 5 thing. Yeah.
Or at the end of 4. I think like
that would be okay. The end of 4 would be
finale
fine.
thing. I think the end of 3 is going to be Sulu, and then the end of 4 is going to be McCoy.
That would be okay because I figure it's going to happen, and that's going to be tough because after Urban, I mean, casting McCoy is hard, but after Carl Urban, oh my god.
I mean, I'm pretty happy.
I'm sure they can do it, but
with what Paul Wesley and Ethan Peck have done as Kirk and Spock,
they have. But
I was curious that Rhys Darby. I was thinking, oh, he's about the right age. I could see him as Dr. McCoy, but I guess now we're thinking.
I bet he could pull it off.
Certainly doesn't look like McCoy in the trailer. So
no, I don't. He is, but no, but like.
But yeah, he might be able to pull it off. But Taylor, I have some ideas what this might be, but before we find out the top thing you want to see in season 3, why don't you tell us the top thing you hope we don't see in season 3?
I already leaked a little bit of mine, but yeah,
It
I'm
happens.
ready for the romantic storylines to chill out. Like especially with Spock. Like I'm so I don't like the whole back and forth and like I don't know. It's too much for me. Like I really like T'Pring and I really like Chapel, but I like them more individually than I do in a romantic relationship with Spock. So I am all for like keeping T'Pring and Chapel around, but I don't want their storylines to be all romantic and stuff with Spock. And I think they do an okay job, like keeping it, you know, not just like Spock's girlfriend, right? But I don't know. I just get tired of it because it feels so immature to me and so like Vampire Diaries and like Supernatural. Like it just feels like a CW show when you have stuff like that to me. And it just like seems unserious and I'm just not really into it. So I vote like less like romantic storylines. Like even like Pike and Batel bother me. And I really have been having a hard time with Batel because I didn't like I mean, I know she didn't choose the job of being like against Una in the Ad Astra per Aspera episode, but that was really hard for me. Like, I still haven't forgiven her for that. So
You're not alone.
I'm
You are
having a
not
hard
alone.
time with all of the romances. Like, I don't particularly enjoy any of them. Like, I want them like to be happy, but I don't feel like it has to be like romantic. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm excited that Chapel is going into a fellowship. Like I'm really stoked for her for that because she really wants it and it's like very character driven and career driven. It's just different, right? And like exciting for her and like I don't know. I have other examples, but I don't want to be talking for too long.
There's one romance we need though that's just out there waiting. We haven't touched it. They introduced them both. But it's the T'Pring Stan romance. That has to blossom, right? We're waiting on that.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again.
T'Pring and Stan
Oh,
from Amok Time.
yeah. Okay, sorry.
Who
I did not hear that right.
We saw him because
He's
he
her
works for her.
coworker.
Yeah.
Because the Vulcans, like
But I don't
Starfleet,
want
don't really
that.
care about that whole coworker
I don't want that
thing.
either. I don't want it. I don't know. I'm fine with no romantic storylines.
What
The
if
children
Taylor-
want the Stan romance, okay? That's what they
I
want.
know y'all do. Y'all
But-
want to have drama.
But you have enjoyed some of the Star Trek romances in the past. Like I know you were a huge fan of Tom and B'Elanna, but also like Cisco and Cassidy Yates.
Yeah.
You really liked seeing the two of them together. So
Yes.
you were one of the many fans. You're definitely not alone with this either. But one of the many fans who really wanted Jean-Luc Picard to open his eyes and see how great him and Beverly could be together.
Okay, yes, but also no, because Bev also deserves better than Picard. I think that she could have done way better.
Laris
than
is right
him.
there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even care. Like, just literally anyone who'll give her the time of day and treat her for how amazing that she fucking is, and Picard doesn't. I can't with this. But yeah, it's the same
But
thing.
there are some Trek romances you like. Is the point? I'm not
Yes.
saying like I don't want people to get it twisted.
I'm not
and think,
anti-romance.
Right,
I'm
right.
anti-lazy writing and lazy relationships and just for like stirring the pot drama. Like I just feel like it's awkward and I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
and
like derivative like CW tropes. To spice
like,
things up.
Like when T'Pring is having the dinner with Spock and he's human in that episode and like Chapel comes in and there's like that little bit of drama and like I just don't care for that. Like I don't and like I really like how Michael and Book's relationship went and there was drama in there and there was definitely tension at times and they were together and apart, but it always felt very realistic and like enjoyable to me. Like even when they were fighting and stuff, I enjoyed their storyline. And I feel like I just don't enjoy a lot of the romantic storylines in Strange New Worlds. So
good romances have a
Fair
cat
enough.
involved. Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where I am. Like, yeah.
She's a queen, but
And I agree. I love the Book and Burnham romance.
Like, okay, you remember how stressed I was about Michael Burnham and Ash Tyler? Like all the time.
Yeah.
Every time I felt like I was gonna puke. Every time they were like on screen together or like Ash Tyler was on screen. That's how I feel about a lot of the romances in Strange New Worlds. And so there's like that That feels like the same thing to me. I don't know what the underlying vibe is just yuck. And I can't have really great words to describe why. But yeah.
A visceral feeling in your gut. Yes, that's
is.
more than words. It really is more than words. So
Yeah.
So Taylor says no more romance. For me, the number, or I guess pump the brakes on it. You didn't say no
Yeah,
more,
pump the
you
brakes.
okay.
Yeah. Like just, I think I'd be more interested in seeing like the newer characters, like maybe develop romantic storylines with new characters more than like, I think I do have a harder time with mixing of a Strange New Worlds cast and TOS cast, or like TOS characters, sorry. I think that is harder for me. I think just because we know so much of the TOS characters' storylines, it's harder for me to like weave in like a Strange New Worlds arc in that timeline. So
it's just a Strange New Worlds affair. It's not really a relationship because we know where they go. Yeah,
it's harder for me, and I get that people like the drama, and that's okay. But it's hard. It's really hard for me to be into it. Okay.
Well, for me, the number one thing I hope that we don't see in season 3 of Strange New Worlds, or this carries on to season 4 or season 5 for that matter, but I don't want them to backpedal on stories that might rock the boat. There's a lot of disappointment with the whole Paramount entity right now. Because like all corporations are honestly, ran by
ACAB works for corporations too.
Yeah, disgusting, terrible people who would crawl over their dying mother to go make money for their stockholders because that is their job. They are legally required to do whatever is going to be profitable for their stockholders. If they take actions that don't increase profits for their stockholders, they can be sued by their stockholders. So this terrible fucking system that we've constructed that is currently destroying the planet, but it's also the reason why Paramount, I guess, is bribing our shithead president to let their merger go through so that some billionaire's piece of shit son, David Ellison, owner of Skydance, can take over Paramount and own Star Trek. And we already see what they're doing, with like 60 Minutes and with CBS News and making sure that they're not rocking the boat there and not doing anything to upset this fascist regime running our country right now. I really don't want to see Strange New Worlds. Star Trek, which is known for pushing the envelope and not always being great at it, but it should always be a priority to push representation. I don't want to see like a backpedal on that. I don't want to see, fewer stories involving characters of color or queer characters, which Strange New Worlds already seemed to do a little bit going from season 1 to season 2, and that was disappointing. So I say, if anything, now is the time to lean into that. So it's really frightening right now that these corporate decisions have such big ramifications into every aspect of our life, including our entertainment. But I'm very worried about. We all look back now. You hear all like these shitty stories of things, like Rick Berman did in the 80s and 90s. But it's like there's a lot of that happening today in 2025, unfortunately. And I want to see stories that address today's problems. I want to see stories about corporate greed. I want to see stories about an authoritarian police state. I want to see stories that are going to probably piss off a lot of people in power. Those are the good stories we need. So I'm begging the show. I'm begging the writers and producers to have the balls and have the decency to push back. You're obligated to do that as Star Trek creatives.
Yeah. I do get the feeling though that the current administration at the top, no one at the top watches any narrative shows. They only watch news and reality TV. So a lot of people say this is automatically going to affect Trek. I don't think it will. I think Trek could worry and censor themselves. That is the big possibility. I don't think actually anyone actually watches narrative TV.
That's one of the scary
They're too dumb.
things
They're
right
just
now.
too dumb to watch stories. They
that-
can't handle it.
That's what's so frightening is that self-censorship.
Yeah, that is the worry. Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't want to rock the boat, so I'm gonna make sure that we don't. But so that was my soapbox. we all got
I like it.
We all climbed up on it, but
well, Joel,
except for Amos, he's in the other room, but
yeah,
he wants
he's
to.
passed out on the love seat.
Oh, I can't see him.
Me,
Okay.
But,
good for you, Amos.
Joel, start off our final round now. We've made it to the end. Tell us the top number one thing you want to see in Strange New World Season 3. And do us a favor and give us a soapbox rant, because you're still owed one.
I don't know if I can soapbox rants on this topic, but anyway. But the funny thing is, I thought this would be out of the blue and no one would say anything. And you guys on screen haven't. But Aaron, Geek Filter in the chat, did allude to this earlier on. I can't get the message because it's way earlier. But my number one thing is bring back from TOS, which we haven't had in Strange New Worlds, Hodgkin's Law of Parallel Planetary Development.
Yes.
This is what we need. One of the episodes this season's needs to, has to either, it doesn't have to be like Miri where it's actually the continents of Earth, because I mean there's only going to be so many of them.
But yeah, remind
remind
people what that is, because might not have seen those TOS episodes.
If you haven't been like looking this stuff up for the past like 4 days as you prep for this, you might not know. But Hodgkin's Law of Parallel Planetary Development, yeah, we know you said that. Aaron in the chat.
He gave you credit, Aaron.
Is when the Enterprise would come, and it was really done so they could save money, because so they could use sets that were done for historical things or other TV shows. So we have the Omega Glory, when basically we have Americans, they have the freaking Declaration of Independence, right? Or is it the Constitution?
Yeah.
One of the two. And they have the communists, they have the Yangs and Kongs, and then there's the whole thing. And it's, it's just like, but that wasn't so much sets. But we have Bread and Circuses, where they got to use all the Roman stuff.
Yeah, where it was basically the 20th century, but the Roman Empire never fell.
Yeah, the Roman Empire never fell. Constantine, really, they went over to Byzantium, but that never fell to the Ottomans. And so we have Romans with 20th century TV tech and everything else. It was slightly more because they had really cool, fantastic cars.
And then
Saturn.
Miri was basically Earth, except
perfectly
a plague that killed them all.
Yeah, they have the actual continents. You can see it in the thing, and Miri. So, and the law is basically every once in a while, you're going to get an Earth or a planet that's just like yours, no matter who you are. So assume that there's, Hodgkin's Law of Parallel Planetary Development means there's people who are basically Vulcans but look different slightly, or the same, because Bread and Circuses look just like people too, but humans. And it was a course. It's 3 episodes of TAS, 3 out of 79. Yeah, it's a lot for such a strange thing. So it's kind of common. Excuse me. So we really need to bring this back and have at least one of the episodes, and it could be really any of them. You could slot this into anything. And it'd be fun, and you get to use maybe some other sets, or I don't know how many other weird sets they have around in Toronto, but maybe they could borrow one from someone else. It'd be fun, and if they want to go right into TOS, they need to go fully into TOS.
Would you do like a parallel Earth where it's like, this is like an Earth, but one thing is different? Like, on this Earth, Y2K actually caused the apocalypse, or like, something like that. Where
that would be fun.
That would almost make
this
good,
Earth
like,
has no
episode.
SpongeBob SquarePants. What would that be like?
Oh, the ads for Paramount
Paradise
Plus would be
Paradise without SpongeBob SquarePants. You don't need to have the Vulcans arrive; it's automatic.
But Joel,
luxury,
the inclusion of the parallel Earths, that was something that way back before Strange New Worlds even premiered, that was something that I thought would be such a fun thing to explore on this new serialized, or on this new episodic show that was going to be more of like a classic Star Trek throwback kind of show. And I kind of forgot about that, but Aaron had mentioned that recently and kind of reminded me. And I actually had that on my list, but I bumped it off when I was rewatching Strange New Worlds these last 2 weeks and was reminded how like, oh yeah, it would be nice to see more closure on Kirk stuff. So I bumped that off of my list to add Kirk and La'an,
Or
much to Taylor's dismay.
they go to
So
an Earth,
I'm glad that
and
you
there's another
mentioned
La'an
it,
and
though.
Kirk, and they're together.
Yeah,
Oh, there
maybe
you
that
go.
could happen. So
Look, it could
then
be a
everybody
double
wins. Yeah.
check.
They have slightly different names, but
Ka'an
Yeah,
and Lurk,
there you go.
Lurk and Ka'an, yeah.
which is funny because it's like Khan.
Well,
Okay.
Suni and Ning. Yeah, we just switch those up.
Just
and
switch around the letters a little bit.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's close enough. Fun.
well, Taylor, why don't you tell us the number one thing you hope
It's probably
to
the
see?
same thing, right? Yeah, I know. It was,
Oh,
yeah.
totally.
We all picked
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
number one.
Actually, okay, so I couldn't choose which character, so I'm going to say both. Okay, I want more Ortegas and more Pelia in season 3. Like specifically, maybe like an episode like centric around one of those characters or both of those characters, and maybe get more backstory on either of them. But the important thing is that they don't die in the episode. I want more about them, and I want to care about them more, but I want them to still live. Okay. So
Yeah,
more
I didn't even
Ortegas
include this one because it's so basic to
more
what they
Pelia.
need to do. Yeah, Pelia. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that is my number one. I know that's like pretty common want, but it's
Yeah.
really high for me because on rewatch, like I'm obsessed with Ortega's lines. Like she's so witty and smart, and I just enjoy her on-screen stuff. And Pelia, I find very relatable because she's kind of like an art historian, kind of like a collector, and I have a little bit of that in me. And so I find her really compelling.
Note to
really
viewers,
like Pelia.
Miss Taylor did not steal all that stuff. Just so you know. But
Hey, I'm gonna ask you kind of what I think is a bit of a hard-hitting question. So brace yourself.
Who?
You.
Okay.
you were hoping of me.
Yeah, I was.
You love Pelia. I also know that you loved Hemmer. Was it
Yeah.
worth losing Hemmer to get Pelia?
No. I really loved Hemmer. And I love
Hemmer is
Pelia,
amazing.
but I have a harder time. And that's, I think, why this is so high on my list, is I want to know more about her. And I think I will love her more and more I know. I feel like she's one of the characters, like, the more I know, the more I'll like her. Whereas Hemmer was, like, the more I know, probably the less I would like him. I really liked... Yeah, I have no beef with Hemmer, but I am very sad that we lost him.
But yeah, I get what you're saying, though. Like, fleshing out Pelia and doing some of, like, the, I guess, potentially really great stuff you could do with her would kind of justify that choice to sacrifice Hemmer for this new engineer character. But I definitely am with you on the hashtag more Ortegas. That's something that Taylor and I have been talking about, because she being new to the fandom, I was telling her about how, like, for years, even like it was like halfway through season 1, we were already on like the hashtag more Ortegas train, I think. So but and I definitely wouldn't mind more Pelia either. She's really just kind of like a support character, but it's kind of cool how, like, in Tomorrow they could use her as like you're gonna like help out the primary spotlighted characters of the episode, but in a very
and the whole
unique
Lanthanite
way.
thing is hardly been touched on as well.
Yeah, it'd be fun to explore. It'd be cool if she showed up in the future and something, if like she's in a Starfleet Academy or something else.
She can be. I was thinking that when I was...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just thinking, when I was rewatching today, it's like they should just totally spring for a Queen song and just play Who Wants to Live Forever, just like in every episode of Highlander, when there's a flashback to the Highlander outliving one of his loves and them dying. And it would be really sad and it'd be amazing, but it's probably expensive. But if you didn't watch Highlander, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But
yeah, I haven't seen it. Sorry, I can't comment. I want to... Something I've been thinking about, and I don't know, I'm like on the fence about, would be, because I don't know if it's a little too like closed universe, if Pelia and like Guinan knew each other. But if they're both like long-term beings and they both resided on Earth, like I feel like they would have met. I feel like it would be likely.
Like,
so
Paleo was in Vermont when Guinan was in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But, they could have met in the middle somewhere. Maybe like they show up in Chicago on the same weekend or something.
Yeah, but I think
Mark
that would be
Twain
like
was
a
talking in the
fun.
Northeast. Yeah, they
Yeah,
both
I
show.
thought that would be kind of a fun little story for her. Or even if she just like casually mentions like, well, my friend Guinan, blah 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 blah. You know?
My bartender. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But
Yeah,
again, like that could be too closed world for some people, but I
yeah.
think I would
It would
like
be
it.
it would be a little like world shrinking, I guess. But
Yeah.
If they crossed paths like in space, I think that might actually. Well, I don't know. Maybe there was like for some reason like all the aliens that were living in secret on Earth were getting together for something. They were having like a secret alien convention,
Yeah,
1995 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, I would be down for any exploration of Palea. I think there's a lot of potential there. So I'd love for them to take a crack at it. For me, though, the number one thing that I want to see in Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 is I want a return of Captain Angel. I could have sworn that was supposed to happen in Season 2, and it never did.
Yeah.
This is also something that I think is really odd, is that like you set up like this really cool villain played by a really cool actor, and then you just totally drop them. And is it because they're like a gender queer character and actor? Is it because
they're afraid of Cybok and how amazing he is? I think that's what it is.
That was my number one thing I wanted in Season 2, is I wanted Cybok.
That's why I didn't bring it up, because it was just like it's so close to it. When I rewatched that one, I was just like, yeah, I want Angel and I want Cybok. Come on.
But I didn't include
Deadly duo
Angel
like that.
last year because I was convinced that we were going to get that regardless. So, but yeah, I
such a great character.
I think that would send the very wrong message to be like, oh yeah, we're actually not going to this queer character that we clearly, without a doubt, set up in Season 1 with the intention of making them a recurring threat. We're just gonna totally drop that. It's like this person should be the Gold Ducat of Strange New Worlds, but they're gonna turn them into the Seska of Strange New Worlds and just drop them. Like, no, don't do that to me.
Yeah,
that'd be hilarious if they actually went full Seska, and her character doesn't show up, Angel, but she programmed the computer like Seska, so it does something. Like what she did with the holodeck. That'd be hilarious.
Okay.
Maybe she reprogrammed the rec deck. Dun, dun, dun. Rec room. But
well, I guess we'll find
think
out.
We're onto it.
But I have some runner-ups that I'll mention. Well, instead of runner-ups, I'm just gonna mention the other picks I had for Season 2. I wanted to like the Gorn. I wanted to like Kirk. I actually got that one. I really wanted Tholians in Season 2. Still haven't had any Tholians in Strange New World, so I still want them. I really wanted Cybok. I still really want that. But the other thing I've been asking for since at least Season 2 is I want some of the lesser-known TOS characters. I mentioned Gary Mitchell earlier. He would be like my favorite. If I could pick any like legacy character that needs to be brought into Strange New Worlds, it would be Gary Mitchell. But I would also love Janice Rand. I would love any any of those Enterprise personnel that weren't like the Big Seven.
Leslie, bring in Leslie.
Bring in Leslie. Bring in DePaul. DePaul or Dassault. Like either one of them. Bring them in. So, but yeah, or Riley. Remember our drunken Irishman who sang the song Kathleen, which isn't really an Irish song, and it pisses me off every time I watch that episode. But maybe like have Riley show up in Strange New World. So, or Kirk's classmate from the Academy, Finnegan. I think it'd be cool to see him.
Oh yeah.
So, any of those lesser known Starfleet personnel from TOS. But yeah, I would love Tholians. I would love Cybok more than anything else. But those are some of the other things I want. What about Joel? What are your runner-ups?
Well, I had a few that I wrote down, and one of them was just they had a few. They did it in Discovery, and there's a few in Strange New Worlds, but more wipe transitions They had some really interesting ones where they would like pan through, and then like part of the infrastructure of sick bay would be the part of the wipe, and then be the new scene. I know it's more of an other Star franchise thing, but it's really because they used to do it in the 30s a lot, and it looks amazing. And Discovery and Strange New Worlds have both done it, but there's not very many, and I don't know why. And they look amazing. I want more of those. I want for some reason they need to be food cubes on the Enterprise. So far, it's a lack of food cubes.
Cubed fruit.
I thought about including that too. I was like, the food looks way too good in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, okay, maybe sometimes you have good food, but there should be the times when it's like, oh, it's food cubes only. We're under stress. Or something.
I think that would be such a good joke too, since Pike is like a cook, and so like if we're seeing like most of this really good food from Pike, and then we see like the cube foods, and they're like, ugh, like can we go to Pike's like kitchen instead?
And he's like, I'm just really busy. I can't do it right now.
Yeah, it would be a fun joke.
At some point, the show, if it ever shows like the passing of the baton of the Enterprise captain's chair from Pike to Kirk, they should have someone mention, be like, man, like it sucks not having like Pike's cooking all the time anymore. Like, like I wish
they had to cut his quarters in half to make room for someone else, and then there's no kitchen. And...
Yeah, we went from being a ship of 200 people to a ship of 400 people. Taylor, what are your runner-ups?
I mentioned earlier that I had one similar to Joel's number 3, I think, the TAS representation. I love those old scientists episode as well, but instead of getting TAS characters on Strange New Worlds, I was actually thinking it would be cool to have a Strange New World episode completely in animation. But again, you kind of mentioned like there's not an active animation studio working with Trek right now.
They could hire someone to do that.
But I would really be into it.
They considered that though. I think he said recently in an interview that like they thought about doing a whole episode in like TAS animation style, but then decided not to for some reason. But I think that would actually be kind of a cool idea.
I think it would be really fun. It would be kind of like, I feel like I want it to kind of be similar to the musical episode where they realize that they're two-dimensional. I think that would be really funny. Yeah. Like they kind of laugh about that in those old scientists at the end, and they're like, is anyone else feeling really flat or something? Or two-dimensional, I guess they say. But I think that would be really fun to do all these characters in animation. And I think it would be even fun like to do them in a Prodigy style or I
almost said that, but I knew they would never touch Prodigy because not there right now. It's too bad because it would be amazing. And they have Wesley to make it work. The Travelers could make it work easy.
The other runner-up I had is I would be super into getting some more Vina cameos. We haven't really seen her at all in Strange New Worlds, but we did see her on Discovery. So I think that would be interesting. And I do like Pike and Vina together. They were like my favorite Pike couple, or I guess you could say.
They might be saving that for later.
Endgame, though. Like, that's his happily ever after.
Yeah. So I think that's what.
That's why you know Patel. Get out of here, Patel.
I was just like, "Where's Vina?"
He's taken, Patel. Leave that man alone.
He's in 5. They could take both Pike and Vina off Talos. I think they're going to take Vina and Pike off Talos.
But yeah,
post Pike going there. But
I would be cool with like it, even just being like maybe he's hallucinating or something's happened where he's like, I don't know, blacked out or something, and he just like sees her and has like a hallucination again, or like it doesn't necessarily have to be her, but I feel like we've forgotten that Vina exists, and I don't like that. So I would like to see
really
more
cool
of her.
seeing her in Discovery.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense to. In fact, I'm kind of glad that they. Like, I think the show should use Vina, and I hope they do it at some point. I'm kind of glad that they've held off this long, because you wouldn't want to, like, overplay that. And like we were saying, that is who we know Pike will end up with. So once you start bringing her back or mentioning her, you kind of you kind of kill off any possibility for your writers to play around with. And like even like, they kept Pike and Patel pretty casual in season 1, and they were able to, give Pike another love interest in Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach and stuff like that. And if they ever decide to finally, end things between Pike and Patel, that would kind of free him up again, and you could play around with those stories again. And then, you know, if they're smart, that's why they're holding off on Vina, and then they will bring her back in like season 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But I'd be down with her in season 3 too. I liked the performance we had in Discovery season 2, and I really love Susan Oliver's Vina from The Cage. So just to get more of that character through new material, I'd be on board for. Joel, did you have anything else you wanted to mention before we sign off?
There was one other one. It's just TOS had one thing they have not done yet. Again, we need some little black cats to cuddle up with Spock, because those are always amazing things. It's not just ISIS. That, you know, we had the Halloween episode. What's it?
Cat's Paw.
Cat's Paw. You know, there's a black cat, and black cats love Spock. It's canonical, and we need one in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
I thought you were going to say tribbles at first. And I was like, oh, there haven't been any tribbles on Strange New Worlds.
We don't need tribbles.
I was like, I don't know if I want that.
I like tribbles, but yeah, it's too early.
You know, Cyrano Jones could show up though.
He can show up, yes.
If not
we had
tribbles,
K7. They talked about K7, but
yeah, the tribble. Oh, what if he like frequents K7? Like, what if we go to K7 and like we visit that bar?
He's got some other scam.
Yeah, but it's, you know, kind of like how, like, you know, Quark had like returning customer. You know, Morn would always be there at K7. Like maybe Cyrano Jones is frequently at that bar on K7.
Yeah, he would be great.
It would be hard to have Rainn Wilson's Mud show up, since, you know, they make a big deal out of Spock doesn't know Mud in Mud's Women. They're meeting for the first time. But I think Cyrano Jones, they could... well, I guess Uhura didn't seem to know it. But, like, as long as you don't have Uhura in the room, I think you could do something with Cyrano Jones.
Yeah, especially if it's just at the bar. You just have 2-3 characters go there and interact.
Jill asked who would play Cyrano Jones.
I can't think of it. I'm sure you could do a good job.
I don't know.
Because you get a character actor. Because, you know, he wasn't like a super pretty guy. So you get a really good character actor. There's tons of those.
I was thinking who would be kind of a Rainn Wilson as Harry Mudd type casting. And I said Seth Rogen. But
he could do it.
Yeah, I think he could do it. But that was just... Oh, Aaron says Jack Black. I don't know if he would do it, because he'd probably... Well, I don't know, maybe. I don't know if... Jack Black might be... He might, like, be a little too... irreverent
expensive
for Star like, he might be like, I'm just gonna like show up and just like scream and act stupid and jump around and to basically like play Jack Black, which is great for, I'm sure, 90% of the stuff. You know, like, I never imagined Bowser from the Mario video games acting like that, but it works, and that's the best part of that Mario movie they made. So but yeah, I don't know if anyone else has a casting suggestion for Cyrano Jones. Leave a comment and let us know. Taylor, did you have any other runner-ups you wanted to mention?
I think I got it all out there.
Okay. Well, also comment and let us know y'all's Cyrano Jones casting ideas, but also tell us the top things you want to see in season 3, or tell us what you don't want to see. Give us your hopes and give us your fears. We might share some of them in some upcoming content. I don't know if we're probably not gonna have time for Subspace
with the
next
two
week.
Episodes next week, but
2 episodes to run through, but that is exciting. We are 7 days away from talking about new Star Trek episodes with a 2-episode premiere, so I am hoping all y'all come back for that. But thank you everyone for watching us live, and thank you everyone who is watching or listening to us later. And please feel free to come back weekly for Star Trek Strange New Worlds content. And until next time, as always, live long and prosper, y'all.
Subscribe to YouTube to watch the Tex-Trek podcast live, or listen to us later on your favorite podcast platform. Follow Stephen Fatheree on socials at TXTrek. Thank you and take care.